peace and blessings, beautiful souls. I am Brandi L. Bates, author of Moonshine for the Soul, The Art of Grind, and many more books. You are now tuned in to Power Podcasts. I want to thank you for your presence and your time. I know that you could be anywhere in the world listening to anything on earth, but you chose to listen to this today, right now, and I just say thank you. We're so super grateful. You can find most of these podcasts archived on YouTube via the I Am Brandi Bates YouTube channel, but please subscribe and follow us on iTunes, Podomatic.com, and SoundCloud. Like, share, stimulate dialogue, spark creative thought, and kick truth to power. As some of you may know, I have a newborn son. Shout out to my baby Basquiat Osiris. So that's kept me extremely busy for the past 3 weeks, but we're back. So let's get into this. And one time for the single mothers, like seriously, all jokes to the side, I just do not know how you do it. It's hard out here in these streets with help. It truly does take a village to raise a child. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, right? So today we're talking about the elegant grind, cheat codes, and spiritual poverty. The elegant grind, cheat codes, and spiritual poverty. Understand that the soul is true antimatter. When you hear about dark matter and antimatter, the soul is true antimatter. At its core, our minds make the world go around. Not money, not politics. In spite of what you have been told, just the machinations of our minds. Your thoughts affect matter. The most basic type of cheat code is one created by the game designers and hidden within the game itself that will cause any type of uncommon effect that is not part of the usual game mechanics, if you will. Okay, stay with me. I promise you I'm going somewhere. Cheat codes with regard to video games, for instance, are usually activated by typing secret passwords or pressing controller buttons in a certain sequence. We see this in the tangible real world, right? The world of espionage, of spies, the world of Freemasonry, secret societies, hand symbols. We see it in subliminal messaging within our mainstream media, in the commercials, in the logos, built into the algorithms of the colors of the logos, of the design of the website, so forth and so on, right? But it's a character combination, cheat codes, that is entered to change the game's behavior. We're talking about changing the game. We're talking about changing the fabric of the game. Cheat codes. And it may move the game to the next level, right? So these are the types of cheat codes I'm alluding to today, folks. I don't know what you thought I was talking about. I don't know what you thought you heard, but those are the types of cheat codes I'm talking about. So a cheat code is anything to help a player with their game. Where are my gamers? PS4, Xbox, Halo. GTA, right? It's learning how to play while wounded. It's all about using pain to propel you. You can't own results. You can only own initiative. Once you plant the seed, I don't care how many business cards you pass out. I don't care how popping your website is. I don't care how much PR, how many followers and likes you've bought. At the end of the day, you don't control the way that seed is going to be cultivated. You don't control whether that plant blossoms or not. All you have control over is the work. What you put in. Now the 70% rule, I'm going to touch on this and I'm going to try to link it together. But there's something called the 70% rule. The 70% rule says, for instance, once you're at 70%, just do it. Like Nike, just do it. The book is 70% done. Launch it. You don't have to keep editing and rereading and going to conferences and seminars and aspiring authors groups. The book is 70% done. Launch it. The project is 70% done. Ship it. You are 70% sure about the decision. Make it. 70% rule. Stay with me. See, you have to understand and study the science of affliction. In order to scale, you have to do things that don't scale. I know that sounds like a paradox, but paradox is what makes the world go around. Elegance is beauty that shows unusual effectiveness and simplicity. When we think about the first iPad, when we think about the first Macintosh, it was described as elegant technology. Elegance is frequently used as a standard of tastefulness, right? Particularly in the areas of visual design, decoration, the sciences, and the aesthetics of mathematics. And I don't know if you know this, but that's even incorporated in the design of architecture. Frank Lloyd Wright, buildings, builders, real estate. It's built into the design of cities as well. So first, ask yourself, okay, whether you work at the post office, you flip burgers, you're an attorney, you're a doctor, you're an engineer, you're an author, you're an apprentice, whatever, right? Ask yourself what your niche is. What is your niche? Your niche. A niche is a comfortable or suitable position in life, right? Or employment, right? It's your place, your niche, your function, your calling. And it denotes or relates to products, services, interests, whatever appeals to a small, specialized segment of the population. Okay, stay with me, please. What niche do you own within your industry? What's your angle? What's your lane? How do you rise above the noise, right? Are you trying to build something? Grow something? Do you want to own something? Or you just trying to work somewhere? You just trying to get free dental and vision. You just trying to get somewhere to be so you can get a check every 2 weeks. Where are you? What's your angle? Right? So the 70% rule, the rule says if you want to make software like margins in any industry, okay, but you want to make margins like Facebook, you want to make numbers like Apple, like Amazon, like Airbnb, right? Something like 70% gross, 20% net. Where are my MBA students? Econ majors. You need to identify and dominate a narrow niche, what we call the 7 to 70 rule, or the 70% rule. So you find a niche no bigger than 10% within a broader industry, then you own 70% of that niche. The problem is a lot of us go too broad, too wide, too general because we lack vision. We lack direction. We lack a sense of the invisible. What we don't see, but we know exists in our mind, in our mind's eye, in our third eye. It exists in the future. Somebody had to envision an iPhone. Someone had to envision a Tesla. Someone had to envision the shoes you're wearing. 100, 200 years ago, the concept of the shoes you're wearing did not exist. Someone had to experience that and see it in their mind's eye before it can become, right, a manifestation. Even though you totally take it for granted. So you start the 70% rule. You start serving customers or clients or just people in a broader industry. And then if you study your own data, you'll see that there is a specific segment of customers, distribution channels, right, and products or services where both the sale is easier and the margins are higher. So the key is letting go of all the other segments and choosing to hyper focus where you seem to be making the most money the easiest. This is how I was able to walk away from corporate America. I put in my time, I paid my dues. And see, I don't want to get specific because so many of us have so many different backgrounds and experiences. But my point is, whatever your background is, whether your background is a barista at a coffee house, a call center, you work in a buying office, you are a janitor, it doesn't really matter. The point is, you start at the bottom floor, you work your way up, and as you work your way up, you use that experience as your education. You use that experience as your apprenticeship and learn the ranks and learn the business and learn the ins and outs. Don't just go to work just for the check. Right? You're not just working somewhere. You're trying to build something. And so you take what you learn from that industry, that experience, that office, that manufacturing plant, etc., 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 and then you build your principles and your guiding principles, more importantly, around that experience. And you say, okay, within this experience, who are the people who are the big ballers? Who are the people who are investing? Who are the decision makers? Who call the shots? Who are the ones who call the shots? I've said this before. Find out where the cups are made. Manufacturing, production, down to the root of whatever it is. You got to go to the source and learn how to cut out the middleman, because other people have found ways to make money off of you by making themselves a middleman of some shit that you just don't feel like going to the source about. So you pay somebody. For instance, all of us could learn how to make clothes. We could learn how to farm and produce our own food, but it's just so much easier to pay the farmer, to pay the grocer, to pay the truck driver to bring us the food from where it was grown and cultivated. You follow me? So I think it's really important to learn how to say no gracefully and with class to 98% of the bullshit people try to get you to commit to. The most effective people in their respective fields are successful and effective because they've mastered the graceful no. No. Not, oh, because I don't have a babysitter. No. Not, no, I don't think I can make it. I don't think I'll be able to do. No. Just no. No is whole all by itself. Our ability to become high achievers in business, sports, marriage, any of our hobbies hinges on whether or not we can consistently make well-informed decisions. And so every aspect of our lives depends on decisions in one form or another. The 70% rule, coming back to the 70% rule, also called the 40-70 rule. Some of you may have heard of that, the 40-70 rule. It was introduced to the public by former Secretary of State Colin Powell. And it simply states that the best time to make a decision is when you have 40 to 70% of the information, the intel, that would ideally be available for 100% certainty. If you only know 10% of what you need to know, don't act. You only have 50% information, intel. Don't jump, don't do it. 70%, you have enough, because you may never have 100% certainty. I don't think anyone ever achieves 100% certainty, because it's impossible for us to know everything at all times. It's certainly in any given situation, right? But the most common reason people procrastinate or avoid making a decision is mainly perfectionism. Most of us are afraid of being viewed as weak because of a misstep or miscalculation. So we plan everything to death. You plan to make plans. And just jump. You know, people peer review shit to death. Survey shit to death. Just do it and learn as you go. Right? So this perfectionism is normally a result of fixed mindsets. That's where it comes from. That success can only be, accomplished in certain ways. This is what success looks like. This is what affluence looks like, right? If you're not driving this type of car, you're not living in this type of house, that's not success, right? We have these fixed ideas that were ironically given to us. But there's one way to be right? So what matters more than rightness, if you will, is improvement. In reality, nobody expects 100% perfection or certainty all of the time. It's just not humanly possible. So what we do expect is a life of strong mission and action, self-improvement, right, as the core. But so let's take it a step further, right? The elegant grind, cheat codes, spiritual poverty. Casting aside all expectations, ideas, things that were given to you, what would you expect of yourself? Just take it, everything, just try to wipe the slate clean. What do you expect of yourself? What is your life vision and how do you want to accomplish it? And with that at your back and an acceptance of imperfection as your foundation, the best way forward is the 70% rule. And so for most of us, it's the only way to begin the growth process. Otherwise, we end up mired in doubt, insecurity. We're questioning, doubting, what if, right? So once you have the initial momentum afforded by the 70% rule, the next step up the ladder of improvement becomes that much easier. Cheat codes. Stop accepting your own excuses. Stop accepting your own excuses. People are experts, adept at buying into their own bullshit. We tell ourselves always, I'm too busy, I'm tired, we need this time to rest, we need that time to do this. And when you think about how much time you waste in bullshit on social media, on surfing the web, on YouTube, chilling on the couch, what have you. Not saying that there is anything wrong with it. I'm not saying that I'm not demonizing those activities. I'm just saying you can pull time out of your ass if it's something important enough. And so meanwhile, we have, all these goals we want to achieve. We do the vision boards, and we do the positive affirmations, and we have all these grand ideas. We have these Pinterest boards, right? All these wondrous, beautiful, magnificent ideas and goals and things we want to do, places we want to see. And we haven't even scratched the surface of our greater purpose for being in this reality at this time, in this lifetime, in that body. Maturity comes when we start calling ourselves on our bullshit and start seeing excuses for what they really are, right? Ways to put off the work because we're afraid of failing. That's what it comes down to. You're afraid of judgment, or even if it's judgment to yourself, failing yourself, it's easier to just, never start. Just don't even do the shit, right? Because then we can avoid the pain of not succeeding, of failing, of falling on your face. But ask yourself, what hurts more? Coming short? Putting off your goals until they become these distant, hazy dreams that you never gave a real chance? You know how many 40 and 50 and 60-year-olds I've spoken to who talk about their past, when they used to play basketball, when they were going to go to the NBA or the NFL, or when she was modeling, when she was a size 4 and back in her heyday, and, he was the talk of the town, right? And now they've become these overweight, darkened shadow of their old selves. And it's heartbreaking. Nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to work. No one wants to put in the sweat equity. We all want to get paid. We want to get that bag. We all trying to secure that bag. We all trying to get that coin, right? But nobody wants to put in the work. Or we put in just enough work that we feel, is good enough. And that's why we fall at the feet of those who really put in work. Choose your habits, cheat codes. Choose your habits. Don't let them choose you. Next time you meet a mature, successful, I'm talking about successful in every sense of the word, in your mind's eye. Next time you meet a successful man or woman who you find worthy of admiration and respect, take a look at some of their habits. Surround yourself with the right people. Notice I didn't say, I said right people. You realize as you grow and as you evolve and as you age that some people just don't fit into your circle anymore. They don't fit into your paradigm. They don't fit into your reality. Not because they're bad. They might have had a huge place in your past, but their role in your future is small. And that doesn't mean you should ignore or abandon them. It just means you have to be honest about who you invest your time in, who you invest your energy and your efforts in. Anytime you invest in another person is time you cannot get back. I don't know why we just look at investments as monetary, financial. You make investments in your time with people. And if it's an unfruitful relationship or an unfruitful event or circumstance or situation, you've just basically squandered time that you can never get back. And so I promise you, if you want to be average, do what everybody else is doing. If you want different results, have the courage, have the chutzpah to go against the grain and do things how you see fit in your mind's eye. Because we take our cues from others. And so if our friends, they turning up, they hitting a bar on Friday night, they're at the mall, we feel we have to do that, right? Proximity is everything. That may not be your particular cultural cue, but your culture and your customs, you have cues that you're receiving from your culture as well, in your environment as well. Those just happen to be some in the nomenclature of my culture. But that's all that's all good. But if you really want extraordinary results, you really want to be the Beyonce or the Serena, or the Bono of your shit, right? Whether it's in your career, money in the bank, personally, you have to be prepared to be different. You have to move different. You have to be built different. You have to breathe rare air. You have to be prepared to sacrifice. You have to be prepared to do things that others just simply are not willing to do, boo. Life is about growth. And so in order to grow, we need to be around other people who are growing as well. So spend time with people who are just as driven as you, just as ambitious as you, just as hungry as you. This is super crucial. Super crucial. You do have enough time. Cheat codes. You do have enough time. That's the secret. When I started getting up at 4 and 5 o'clock a.m., listen. I did it. I paid my dues. I kissed ass. I paid my dues. I worked for the man. I did it. And I work for myself. Yes, I can get up. Theoretically, I could get up whenever I feel like getting up. There's some days, if I don't want to put a bra on, I don't have to put a bra on. TMI, but I'm just keeping it all the way a buck, as the kids say, right? But here's the thing. When I started getting up at 4 a.m. and getting in front of the day, get your meditation, get your praise on, right? Go outside, earth, ground, do your yoga, have your glass of tea, whatever you do, your rituals. But that 5 a.m. club, oh my God, it's so real. I realized that's how all the greats are doing it. That's how you outwork a motherfucker, is you get up when everybody else is asleep. And so some of us work 8-hour days and we can't find an hour to hit the gym or, and work on our health. I'm not judging. No judgment, no judgment, no judgment, no judgment. But others work 12-hour days as CEOs and still find 2 hours a night to write their memoir and read the latest self-improvement book to keep themselves sharp. When Warren Buffett said he reads 500 pages a day, I was like, okay, that's what he's doing different. Yeah, I understand the whole patriarchy and, Eurocentric privilege and etc. But the man said he reads 500 pages a day. And he's the third richest man in the world. There must be it's a link. And so most of what we have time for comes down to priorities and discipline. And listen to me, discipline ain't never hurt nobody. No one has ever died from discipline. Chances are you do have enough time. You're just using it to rest longer, watch a little bit more TV, a little more Netflix, right? A little more Amazon Prime, right? I feel tell you. You know, you're using that time. You out with your friends. You on the phone. You texting. You on Twitter. You on Facebook. You on Snapchat. You chilling, right? Not that there is anything wrong with any of that. Just don't say it's because you don't have enough time. Everyone gets the same 24 hours. It's just a matter of what you're prioritizing. And Winston Churchill said, when you're 20, you care what everyone thinks. When you're 40, you stop caring what everybody thinks. And when you're 60, you realize no one cares. No one was ever thinking about you in the first place. You got enemies? Good. That means you stood up for something at some point in your life. And it speaks volumes. Nobody cares about you. And it's sad. It's brutal. It's brutal, really. Because you may have been abused. You may have experienced all manner of psychological harm. And I'm sorry to tell you, but nobody cares. They don't care. They don't give a fuck. And you have to learn how to cope in spite of. Or there are few who do care. And so the few who do care, your boo, your babe, your mom, your dad, your granny, that one cool aunt, that one cool coworker, your homegirl, your dude, whatever. The few who do care, who actually care about you, hold on to them, love them, cherish them, honor them, respect them, keep them close. Because loyalty is rare. Loyalty is a dying dinosaur. And people care about themselves. It's not, you have to remind yourself. You would be surprised how many people get caught up on, I had a birthday and you didn't even wish me happy birthday. They didn't even put happy birthday on the job board or wish me happy birthday at work. This really matters to people. But I have to remind you, I remind people all the time, it's not that people don't necessarily care per se about you. It's just they are so caught up in their own lives. They're caught up with their kids. They're caught up with their marriage. They're caught up with their finances. They are caught up with their debt, with them trying to get a new job, trying to get a new car, trying to deal with, kids and school and needing brakes on their car, etc., and all the, endless shit that people are dealing with. And so when you fully understand this, you will start to live accordingly. And from the invisible, I'm about to really get into these cheat codes and this spiritual poverty. From the invisible currents of the inner world and the inner ether, the universe, the multiverse, love will draw to any man, any woman, all that belongs to him or her. And all belongs to him or her that is required to make them happy and content. Everything you need is within your grasp. If it's not already within you, if the rudiments and the seeds are not already there germinating, I promise you it's within your vicinity. Form always meets function. That's one thing I learned in biology, physiology, and anatomy. All form fits function. And so this boils down to living in a duplicated reality within this waking reality you find yourself in. It means learning how to not only sharpen your craft, but sharpen your ability to see the color of a melody or visualizing the texture of an idea. Just really let that marinate for a second. For me, music and sound are both the language and underlying architecture of the cosmos. It's the shape and the flavor of the Fibonacci sequence. The golden mean, the secret to success in all endeavors, in spontaneous healing. And sometimes we lose sight of the fact that we are subtle beings living in a subtle environment. I don't care who you are. I don't care what the complexion of your skin, your socioeconomic background. You are a subtle being living in a subtle environment. And the physical animal form is just a physical probe vehicle that the subtle body form is interfaced to. In other words, we are spirits having a human experience. We lose sight of this so often we forget. The body is avatar. The Sanskrit word avatar, or avatara, it literally means descent in Sanskrit. Avatar, descent. It refers to the descent of divinity from heaven to earth. The fall from divinity to earth. If you don't know, that is the science behind Kabbalah, the tree of life, the fall. It refers to the descent of divinity from heaven to earth and is typically used to describe an incarnation of God or the God body, the Most High. Avatar refers to a soul who has been freed from Maya, delusion, right? We're all living in this delusion. We think we are humans in a meat body and that's all there is. And so this avatar is sent by the will of God, is what you call it, back into manifested existence to help others. But the spirit is eternal. The soul, who you are at your core, is eternal. Like, really think about that when you're going through shit. And when you're dealing with debt, or you're dealing with heartache, heartbreak, when you're dealing with pain, when you're dealing with confusion, when you're dealing with addiction, when you're dealing with depression, when you're dealing with doubt and fear, remind yourself the spirit is eternal. You are spirit having a human experience. Cheat codes. Understand that there is an innate power and potential. When we were kids, we used to put the battery to our tongue to see if the battery was still good. I know it's crazy when I think about the shit my brother had me doing. But there is an innate power and potential, energetic, electric, that lies within humanity to awaken and create a world of truth, a world of harmony and possibility. It's all, everything, all your dreams, all your ideas, all the shit on your vision board is all within your grip. And it's really literally lying at the base of your spine. But so many of us stay, I'm on some I'm telling y'all about Kundalini energy. Kundalini energy is at the core of people really not walking in the fullness and the wholeness of who they are. So many of us stay buckled down to the lowest vibrational frequency of the mundane. What's popping with the Kardashians, keeping up with the Joneses, staying up on the latest dance challenges, Facebook, Donald Trump, whatever the powers that believe they are, right? Whoever they believe they are, whatever they decide to program us with that week or that month or that year or that era. Every era, every generation has its own signature. So we know When we see pictures from the 60s, we can tell it's the 60s because it has a signature on it. The way the women wore their hair, the cars they drove, the dialogue they used, the way the music sounded, the way the laws were enacted, right? The ignorance, the backwardness, right? So you are complex, interconnecting fields of energy, including both light and sound. Light moves in waves and particles. You are complex, interconnecting fields of energy. And the various cells that comprise all the organs, your liver, your spleen, your kidneys, your hypothalamus, your pineal gland, your testes, your fallopian tube, the various cells of your body emit sound vibrations, frequencies that are complex and interconnect with other cells. And this creates a complex cellular resonance. In fact, the entire universe of your body is a walking symphony. You are luminous eggs of cascading resonances of sound. Your body, for instance, is a standing wave pattern created through many forces. And these various standing waves that comprise your body are in resonance to the earth, to the planet, and are also affected by the resonant shifts that Earth, this planet, is going through. So essentially, you are affected by everything that's happening on the physical plane, physical reality, as well as what some would call the spiritual realm. Some would say as above, so below. Some would say you're a product of your environment, right? Everything that is around you affects you. Cheat code. Learn to live in love, appreciation, and compassion for one another. Regardless, this is what Bob Marley came to teach. This is what the Christ and Krishna and Siddhartha and the Prophet Muhammad and Moshe came to teach. Regardless of what you hear in the media, live it in your life from day to day as best you can, and learn to grow your life with these emotions as part of your chosen identity. The personal effect has a balancing effect on your emotional body that will bring you all types of increased health, increased higher evolutionary advances, regardless of what happens to the collective. If you don't like your current reality, then you must change your thinking and your emotional misperceptions and misconceptions to change your vibration. Vibration is a vital key to changing your destiny. Vital. I see people who try to change their diet. They try to do the vegan thing, the raw vegan thing. They try to water fast. But their mind is fucked up. And until you get your mind right, I don't care how you eat, you will still be raggedy and toxic inside. But once you get your mind right, everything else falls into place like dominoes. Vibration. The final key that unlocks doorways to a greater life is in your hands, at your fingertips. It's literally in your fingerprint. It's literally etched in your DNA. No one else's. Because no one can experience your higher self or your higher mind but you. I can't experience your higher mind. My higher mind can reach out to your higher mind. And we haven't developed the technology to even understand that yet. But only you can experience your higher ideas. You've been convinced that you are only your human body, your meat suit. YOLO, right? You only live once. This is it. Life is short. Life is a bitch, right? That's what you've been taught. Consciousness is solitary. Each person lives in that bubble universe that rests under the skull alone. You might find it sad, you might find it ironic, but it is what it is. Your reality. Because who you are, your experiences, your DNA, your eye color, in that region which you live, born to that family at that time, in that dispensation, will never be repeated again. The economic powers that control the global economy, the capitalists behind the capitalists who sit behind the capitalists, those who stroke checks for the feds, for the Trilateral Commission, for the Bilderberg Commission, for the Illuminati, as some of you call them. Who owns the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds? The economic powers that control the global economy are manipulating the press and information systems on our planet to create fear. And it works like a charm. Fear is a powerful energetic force, very powerful. It can power more cities than electricity. Fear, fear, fear. Garden variety fear. And when a human is afraid, he or she operates from the reptilian circuitry of his or her brain. Some of you involved in psychology, you've heard of the reptilian mind, the monkey brain, the monkey mind, the reptilian mind. See, you have to upgrade your mental clarity and circuitry. Humans are still not only the cheapest robots around. At the end of the day, we're self-reproducing robots. We show up, we work generation after generation. I was just telling somebody the other day, we're no different than flies, fruit flies. Fruit flies will see other flies stuck to fly paper, and they run their asses right into that same fly paper. We see generation after generation suffering from certain ailments and diseases and ways of living and being, and we keep doing the same shit. Because one thing we know about history repeating itself is that people don't learn from history repeating itself. And we show up and we work generation after generation after generation, and we give us 3,000 calories a day and a few amenities, a little time off, a strong jolt of fear, right? The Republicans, the Democrats, the murderers, it's a psychopath, up. Climate change, up. What have you. And you can work us at almost anything. Give us some good drugs, and you have a working class. And so the global economic powers have a vested interest in keeping you, and society in general in a lower evolutionary state. Many of us carry emanations, cheat codes, and I'm gonna let you go. There are miracles waiting for you when you ask the unasked questions. What can you do here that will serve the greater good? What can you do here that will serve life's deepest purpose through you? Because I've gotten to the point where I used to ask, God bless me so I can be a blessing to others. My prayer would be, so I could get the glory, I could get the blessings, I could get the money, I could get, what have you, etc., etc. But when you begin to shift that dynamic and shift that request, cheat code, you change the algorithm of the game by holding the expectation of miracles. You literally release the power of creation within you. And so to the extent that you accomplish this, you'll find increasing incidences and occurrences of serendipity and coincidences, all to benefit you. Unexpected treasures. Guys, you get in your mind right, and all of a sudden the beautiful women you start attracting, or ladies, you get your mind right and you start clicking on all cylinders and get everything in alignment, and opportunities just start presenting themselves to you, right? Whether they be physical or mental, emotional, financial, psychological, healing, whatever. Hold the expectation of your miracle. Everything great will require finesse on your part. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful day. Reach out to your loved ones today. Really, seriously, reach out to your loved ones today. Because these are strange days we're living in, and no one is promised tomorrow. Peace.